Thank you very much, Faisal. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good day, everyone, and I hope you are all safe and healthy. I would like to commence by commending the efforts of the organizer to make this event possible. I would like to start by also extend our gratitude to His Excellency Mohammed Bouchab, Ambassador of the UAE to Belgium and Luxembourg, for his phenomenal efforts to strengthen the relation and put the strong foundation of the UAE with Luxembourg and Belgium. I would like also to welcome Her Excellency Elizabeth Cardoso, Ambassador of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg and the UAE, and I look forward also to meet her again here in the soon, I mean in the UAE. It's my pleasure to partake in today's webinar on behalf of the UAE Ministry of Economy. At the heart of this tragedy, and we believe that the shared responsibility of international community and also the extensive public-private dialogue is an important element and tool that will enable us and enable the international economies to be more resilient and will help and support the sustainable recovery. Although this unprecedented crisis has given rise to existential challenges across the globe, the ongoing efforts to tackle this highlight the truth potential of the bilateral ties we share with one another on various fronts. I would like to start by highlighting also some of the numbers. I will give a little bit of a bird's eye view of the extensive bilateral trade relation. We'll start maybe with the UAE and EU first, and we go through also the bilateral relation between UAE and Luxembourg. The UAE ranks 22nd globally as the most important trading partner for EU countries, and second in Arab world. And if we consider the non-oil trade volume between EU and UAE, will rank or will put the UAE's #1 in the Gulf as a trading partner with EU. The UAE also ranks 15 globally as the most important recipient market of export from EU countries, accounting for 1.4 of the total export of EU countries to the world in 2019. And the first in the Arab world, holding more than 19.2% of the EU's export to Arab countries. Noting that over the course of year 2019, also 40% of the total exports of the UAE to the Gulf Cooperation Council countries went to the UAE. The EU countries represents UAE's most important source of food commodities, as the EU acquire more than 15% of UAE's total imports of these commodities from the world, and we also witness an increase during this pandemic increase in terms of our imports from the EU for the agricultural products. As for the medical supply related to COVID-19 pandemic, more than 43% of UAE's imports from the world originate from EU countries. The UAE has always shared vigorous trade relation with Luxembourg and Belgium, whereby the total non-oil trade volume between UAE and both countries, Belgium and Luxembourg, amounted around 6 billion for the year 2019. And despite the relatively modest value of non-oil trade between UAE and Luxembourg represents the leading destination for UAE's FDI destined to the EU, followed by Spain and France, respectively. The cumulative UAE FDI flow into Luxembourg until late 2018 witnessed an increase and stood at for 17.4 billion US dollar. The UAE accounts such as for 42.2% of the total value of direct investment by GCC into Luxembourg, ranking it first in the region in terms of the overall FDI by the Gulf region into Luxembourg. The value of cumulative direct investment by the Gulf into the EU, we exclude the UK, amounted around 113 billion US dollar until early 2019, out of which 49 billion is attributed to the UAE. As of 2019, 1,366 Belgian trademarks and 2,017 trademarks of Luxembourg were registered in the UAE. I would like also here to highlight some of the ranking for the UAE in terms of the competitiveness, which is very important to highlight. There is an improvement of the UAE ranking in all competitiveness indices, and one of the competitive areas that we are strong in is the IMD World Competitiveness Index, which put the UAE the 9th globally in terms of competitive economy, and the first in the in the MENA region. It's also ranks first in the MENA region and 25th globally in the World Economic Forum Global Competitiveness Index 2020. In terms of doing business, this is also an important report that investors are looking at. The UAE ranks 16th globally according to the World Bank Doing Business Report 2020. And with respect to the economic freedom, the UAE positions 18th globally on the Economic Freedom Index year 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of the pandemic on all of us is dire. At a rough time like this, businesses around the world pivot dramatically and share the same concerns and strive for ways to cope with the changing market conditions, and also to cater to a new environment and new consumer habits. The UAE attached great importance to supporting and encouraging the country's private sector in every way possible, acknowledging the integral role that this sector and SMEs play in driving economic growth. Today, the UAE embodies one of the most preferred, safe, and stable investment destinations in the world. The country's business environment is characterized by pioneering economic and trade policies, state-of-the-art infrastructure, superior global connectivity, and robust legislative framework, as well as regional and global trade hub. By way of underscoring UAE's strategic geographical position at the heart of the global economy, I would like to note here the most recent UNCTAD report on investment, which was released last week. Having acquired 50% of the investment flows to the region, the UAE now ranks first in West Asia in the FDI inflow, amounting to $14 billion and representing 32.7% increase as compared to the year 2018. According to the same report, the UAE ranks amongst the top 25 countries in FDI inflow and amongst the top 20 in FDI outflow in the year 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, while we are on the FDI front, it is worth also mentioning the first positive list, which was recently issued, and I think Amna touched on this earlier. Would like also to emphasize on the importance of this new option given to the investor to invest in the UAE through the FDI law, which allows up to 100% foreign equity participation outside the free zones in many different sectors, more than 120 to activities in the agricultural sector, in the industry and the services sector. The UAE stands ready to facilitate and support investors and exporters from Luxembourg and Belgium to tap into new markets and explore promising opportunities of growth in various fields by engaging in productive dialogue with their UAE's counterparts. In the wake of COVID-19 outbreak, the UAE has been one of the fastest countries in the region in terms of its response to the economic challenges imposed by the crisis. To date, 472 unwavering initiatives and procedures have been undertaken by the UAE government to remediate the short, medium, and long-term COVID-19 ramifications. To that effect, the UAE has adopted a multi-pronged systemic response, paving its way through COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era, focusing on sustainable recovery and organic growth, of which is strategic priority area 1, consisting of a two-phase plan. Most recently, with an aim to alleviate the burden of COVID-19 crises on the country's business sector, the UAE government has introduced numerous measures and integrated massive stimulus and relief packages to the affected sectors, both at federal and local levels. And that phase is what we consider phase 1 of this multi-pronged response. Phase 2 tackles the long-term outlook, and I will come to this in a moment. So phase 1 is about re-establishing the core, and it targets short-term economic challenges and vulnerable sectors. The UAE support and stimulus package currently stands at almost 77 billion US dollars, a value that represents 18.3% of the UAE's GDP, one of the highest in the region. To cite but a few measures with this phase, the UAE Ministry of Economy announced the reduction in fees of 94 of its services with a view to alleviating the cost of doing business, covering individual companies and the business sector. Ad hoc committees have also been established to tackle the COVID-19 crisis repercussions on the national economy with integrated mitigation efforts from numerous government entities to support the affected sectors and mitigate the impact of human resources and jobs. Ministry of Economy also has set forth a holistic ecosystem to collaborate with the private sector via the CSR platform of the ministry, through which partnership between ministry and the private sector are forged to secure availability of essential goods at affordable prices. It has also most recently launched an online platform to stimulate business environment and address COVID-19 adverse effect to support business continuity in the wake of the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, the UAE is now blazing a trail for the post-pandemic era. It has already convened earlier in May government meeting under the title Preparation for the Post-COVID-19 Period, and has embarked on devising a post-pandemic recovery roadmap to rationally reopening its economy. And that is where phase 2, I had alluded in earlier, comes into the picture. So phase 2 is more about longer term outlook, where it will see the government putting its weight behind the faster transition towards a full-scale digital economy. The UAE has been and is currently working on a value-backed digital roadmap, accelerating digital transformation and instilling trust and confidence in the digital world. So we are covering privacy issue, data security, e-commerce, AI, automation, blockchain, and etc. So these efforts fall under strategic priority area 1. There are 2 other strategic priority areas, and these related to green economy, strategic priority area 2, which pertains to renewable energy, electric cars, and circular economy. The UAE is currently ever more revving up its efforts in this area, in line with the UAE Centennial 2071 plan. And strategic priority area 3, which is about food security and the use of AI, biotechnology, and genetic engineering. There is no doubt that we are navigating through a global economic shock that will continue to require coordinated international response. Having proven its resilience and agility to face challenges in the past, we believe that the UAE is poised to be one of the most dynamic and proactive economies in the region to overcome the current crisis. We are also well aware of the enormous challenges facing vulnerable countries at this point, and we believe that by uniting and intensifying our efforts in this direction, we will be able to considerably reduce the time needed for inclusive recovery and to better prepare our economies to deal with similar crises in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, I very much look forward to the positive outcome of this webinar, and avail myself of this opportunity to reiterate the UAE's commitment to intensify international cooperation and showcase solidarity with the EU in the face the common challenges imposed by the spread of the pandemic. Thank you very much.